Hello everyone. As you can probably tell by my big smile and NFL replica Heritage 49ers football shirt, I'm still in America. And today I'm trying to do something of a more proper review. The last thing that I drove was a 3-rotor RX-7 pushing out nearly 700 horsepower. Today's car is a little bit different. Now sometimes you just see a car and you're like, you know what? That is the right car in the right place. And that's what I think this is. You see, today I'm driving a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. I'm not sure if we actually even get the Wrangler back home. I think we do, but you certainly don't see that many of them. However, they are pretty much an essential tool if you live around here, and I can see completely why. Now, parked up at the house where I'm staying currently is a much older Wrangler, and it is very much what you'd expect it to be. It's kind of small Defender in size, that kind of thing, and does look like an evolution of the original Jeep. This, however, looks like a very slightly scaled down Hummer, or I suppose if you're being very nice to it, a G-Wagon. Fun fact, this 4-door Wrangler is actually a little bit longer than the original Hummer H1. It is, however, quite a bit narrower, the military-inspired Hummer being about a foot wider. I've gone to pick up this car from its very kind and friendly owner, Gary, in our Nissan Frontier, which for my UK viewers is what they call the Navara over here. This looks basically the same size. So what's a Wrangler all about? Well, they come in many different configurations and options, and part of the appeal of them is that you can kind of do what you want with it. Now, this car is one of a pair. It sits with a nearly identical stablemate in a garage, the only difference being the fact that rather than the amazing mojito green colour of this, it has some sort of shocking peach colour. Now, Gary's had quite a few Jeeps in his past, and the reason that he bought one of these is because he read an article in Jeep Lover magazine which said that this was a massive step forward for the Jeep brand. They have apparently changed nearly everything on the car. And this is not a cheap car either, oh no. Even in the land of cheap cars, this is over $50,000 for this top spec Rubicon model. That's a lot of money. To put that into context, that's kind of entry-level Corvette money or quite nice Mustang V8 money. So why would you buy one? Well, they really are incredibly flexible. You may have already noticed the fact that I have the roof off in this car. The back will also come off, and you can turn it into what you'd expect this car to be, the kind of frame-in back rollover hoop type thing. You can take the doors off, not as easily as you could on the older cars, but it can still be done. Now, these cars are available with a selection of different engines. You can have a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol, a 2.2-litre diesel, or this, the 3.6-litre V6 petrol, of course. Now, apparently this is much better than some of the older engines that they did. I don't know how much power it's putting out. I didn't even bother looking up, because what I want today is not the numbers, because honestly, I don't know these cars very well. I don't know their rivals at all. So if you're looking for a real scientific comparison, then I would suggest you look elsewhere. What I want to do is try and sell you the experience of driving one of these things in the beautiful state of North Carolina. And that's why I'll be calling the rest of the reviews in this little series English Guy Drives, because it's English Guy driving stuff and experiencing it, often for the first time. I must confess that this actually feels quite well put together for a Jeep product. The last experience I've got of anything Jeep was my grandmother's 1998 Grand Cherokee. It was a fairly faithful companion to my grandfather and later to my grandmother for, well, the best part of 20 years, but it did eventually get just a little bit expensive to maintain, and it was, well, a constant pain in the arse in the later years of its life. However, she did love that vehicle. What it wasn't, unfortunately, was very practical, because despite its large size by UK standards, it had bugger all in the way of room in it. This is actually not too bad. You can fit 4 full adults in here pretty comfortably, and you've got plenty of space in the boot, or I suppose the trunk if you insist on speaking American. There's even some jump leads and some tow cables and various things in there, so it's actually quite a practical get you out of shit vehicle as well. Now, this car is equipped with an automatic gearbox, although you can of course have a manual. The Rubicon trim pack is the best. The one below is the Sahara. I'm really not sure on too many of the differences, but the big important things about the Rubicon are that it does have serious off-road credentials. If I'm wrong about that, I'll rely on you good folk to tell me in the comments section, but I do my best with these things. Please bear with me, I'm English. The steering, of course, is quite light, and I'm kind of thankful for that. This car has big, chunky, proper-looking off-roading tyres, and down here you have a nice red switch that looks like it might launch something very explosive, but in fact actually just controls the car's differential. Like any serious off-roading car, this car has a lever for your all-wheel drive modes. You can have 2 high, 4 high, 4 low, and you can also have, you get waves! You get waves from other Jeep nutters! I better remember that, I don't want to upset any locals around here. The front sway bar can also be disconnected. That's the anti-roll bar for us European types. It's fairly good for this kind of off-roady lark. You sit incredibly high in here, and on a nice day like today, just having the breeze running through the cab is absolutely delightful. You got a great commanding view out the front, these big, mean-looking vents. It is almost a little bit of a disappointment that it doesn't have some thundering great big V8 up the front. In fact, when you see the review of the Frontier we're driving around in, you'll find that's one of my few observations of the car, is that it's a very American thing. It's a big, large capacity engine that somehow produces very little power and drinks a lot of fuel. I don't know how bad this is on fuel, and frankly I don't care. I'm not even sure its owner actually knows, because this has a scarcely believable 3,600 miles on the clock. This thing looks and feels absolutely brand spanking new, so I cannot underline how thankful I am to him for lending it me, especially as he has absolutely no idea who I am and was asked only this morning whether I could review the car, so go Gary. And as you can see, the pavement apparently is now ending. And so it really does, as they foretold. And now I'm going to put this into the magic all-wheel drive mode. Probably a little bit of overkill here, but you know. So I'm going to roll the windows down, put the arm out, and enjoy the cruise up this little road. Where's it leading to? This is the lesser spotted access road to the Blue Ridge Parkway. If you don't know what it is, look it up. It's an absolutely stunning, well, parkway. If you don't know what a parkway is, it's kind of like a road, but usually prettier. It's a very slow steering rack, as you'd expect from a proper 4x4. And you've got these huge tall wing mirrors as well, which means you can see what's going on very, very easily. Big display in here too. It's off at the minute because we don't need it. You've even got speakers back up here. So when you've got the full top off and everything, you can, have your tunes blasting out over your passengers' heads. And frankly, if it was me and I lived out here, I would run this car with the absolute minimum of accessories as much as I could. Probably leave the doors on because they do give you a bit of a feeling of security, and on the interstate, well, shit can't happen. But this is actually not a bad car. And what the guy said about it, I think is very true. You see, he said to him, it doesn't feel like a Jeep. And it doesn't at all. This is a $50-something thousand car, and okay, granted, on the inside, if you own a G-Wagon, you're not really going to be that impressed with it. However, it does feel actually a noticeable step up from the Nissan Frontier that we've been tooling around in, and it's also there's just a lot of fun about this car. It's the sort of thing that, even if they did only sell it in America, I'd think, you know what, so they should, because this is very much an American car, and specifically a car for this part of America. Can't really see the point of one of these in Alaska, but down here in North Carolina in the summer, it's perfect. And I'm actually off-roading for once in a review, which makes a change. And honestly, I've come out here for a bit of a holiday. I haven't really come out here with the intention of filming at all. Driving a 3-rotor the other day was more of an experience rather than a review, especially with the car not being that happy. And this, I accept, is not much of a review either. But as an experience, okay, I know I try on the channel to have a broad range of cars and things like that, and I know I put a lot of emphasis on speed not always being the key ingredient to having fun, and this just proves it. I'm driving at 16 miles an hour, and I'm very happy. I love this country. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.